Welcome to Two Brothers Radio Control. We are flying the brand new E-flite Beechcraft D18. It's a real handful on the ground, so don't expect yours to perform like this without investing the time for some serious stick and rudder practice first. This blooper reel of terrible takeoffs should help get our point across. It's going to take a lot of work to get into the air gracefully if you're attempting 2-point takeoffs. A 3-point takeoff is a lot easier though, and you can basically ignore all of this. We spent some time on touch and go practice before our takeoffs and landings started to look scale. This is one of the hardest propeller planes to take off and land that we've handled so far. Let's start with a general overview of the D18 and its overall strengths and weaknesses as we see them. First off, the price point is great. At $449 for the B&F and $419 for the P&P, at a 1.5 meter wingspan twin-engine model, it's priced really competitively. It has amazing scale details, the paint job is almost perfect. Assembly is a breeze for the most part. We'll get to that in a second. It does fly amazingly well. It feels like a very big aircraft, but it only has a 1.5 meter wingspan. That being said, some weaknesses that we noticed were that the landing gear leave a bit to be desired with absolutely no suspension to speak of. The metal paint could be a bit more mirror-like, but perhaps we're asking for too much here. Attaching the elevator pushrod to the control horn is probably one of the most irritating things we've ever done. It requires what we felt to be a third arm to get it done right. It is very difficult to do with a narrow little passageway to fit everything through. It's not fun. Ground handling does leave a lot to be desired. It has all of the worst aspects of tail draggers amplified by 3, and the counter-rotating props aren't making a difference that we could tell.
Weird feeling on the ground handling.
But getting beyond all of that, it's really enjoyable to fly, and it has a strong presence to it in the sky that commands your attention. To say it's beautiful is an understatement. It's absolutely gorgeous. This is the most unique E-flite model we've seen so far, with incredible retro styling that honestly just needs better gear struts to almost be perfect. It's no slouch in aerobatic potential. It performs tight, responsive snap rolls.
Nice.
And flat spins, but the CG needs to be shifted rearward for a more impressive spin. It can perform knife edge, but we suspect that the rudder pushrod needs to be adjusted to get it to stay put. Differential thrust may also need to be disabled for a better KE pass. You can get big, loaded rolls out of the airframe, and pop tops whip the tail around nicely. The center of gravity definitely needs to be shifted further back, but this airframe looks like it's capable of hovering and inverted Harriers.
Full stick.
I'm gonna drop the flaps this time and just go real slow. Slow flight is a real joy with the D18. The model has no bad characteristics in flight that we could spot. We don't normally get this close to ourselves. That's how much we trust this model and the aerodynamics behind it. So there you have it. That's the E-flite D18. Now for the Uncut Maiden flight, imperfections and all, finishing it off with touch and go practice so you can see how much effort it'll take to get this plane to look good on landing if you're going for those 2-point mains touchdowns like we are.
Hey guys, what's going on? Today I got my buddy Shear on with me, and we are going to be filming the Beechcraft D18 from Horizon Hobbies E-flite line. I picked this up from Hangar 18 Hobbies here in beautiful Cary, North Carolina. I'd like it if you guys could go, if you're local, go pay them a visit, tell Brian hello, maybe pick something up while you're there. They're great people, we're really happy to work with them, and we're going to just skip all of the formalities, maybe get right to the point. We're going to hold this plane up, figure out our center of gravity with those two 2200 packs that we've got running in the front. Couple smart packs should be perfectly fine for this model. Definitely a little weird feeling on the ground handling. Needs a lot of trim.
Looks good in the air though.
Yeah, it does look pretty good. Power to spare. This is like half throttle right now. I like how it feels.
Engine normal. Full flaps.
Get the flaps tested out. It was really slow with the flaps. It's got some tracking issues with this wind shear that we're experiencing right now. You can hear the differential thrust kicking in as I add yaw. It makes great hammerheads with that differential thrust. Let's see how well it does like flat spins and stuff too while we're on the maiden flight. Roll rate's exceptional. How'd that look?
Decent.
Whoa, you gotta be careful with the yaw because it does kind of have some weird characteristics.
Wing normal.
This is an interesting model to fly so far.
16 volts.
Still plenty of power to fly with. If anything, it's on the nose heavy side of things. I could go with a lighter pack instead of this parallel 2200 setup for 4400. Pretty agile. See if we can hover it. Sounds like an angry hornet, doesn't it?
It does.
Get some inverted performance in here. See how where it's actually balancing.
3 minutes.
Definitely on the nose heavy side of things. I got to press up a bit. Was it Matt Youngkin that you were talking about?
Yep.
Any that's reminiscent of him?
The big open aerobatics, split S's, half Cuban-8s, Engelmans, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Let's do some of his stuff then.
4-point rolls.
15.2 volts.
Full speed. I've been flying this thing barely using the throttle at all. I'm actually pretty pleased with it. It's got some nice performance. Very, very powerful. Let's see if we can get it to Harrier. It'll probably start wing rocking and stalling and potentially crash if we're not careful. There's that wing drop. Definitely has some pretty bad asymmetric stall characteristics, but that's not to be unexpected with radio control. Let's take it upside down a little higher and see if we can get it to do inverted Harriers. Full stick. Does that pretty well, actually. If it wasn't so windy right now, we could probably get some more out of it. Want to come in real close to us? I'm going to try for a touch and go, and you just take a couple steps back if you can. Not too much more than that, just in the plane. Try no flap, touch and go. We're probably gonna make it get real squirrely real quick. Oh, and half bad, I'd say.
Looks like it's got pretty decent slow flight performance.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad at all. That was unpowered coming in too.
Engine normal. Full flaps.
Let's try with full flaps this time. It's probably gonna get real squirrely like this, especially in this wind. Yeah, it's more susceptible to shearing forces as the wind shifts and changes and swirls right now. So we'll try a half takeoff flap landing instead.
15.4 volts.
A little bit more manageable. Keeping it straight on the center line is very difficult in this wind, but it's part of the challenge. Let's try a blender. Not a blender, but still look cool.
It's it Cobra?
Does it Cobra? We're gonna be the new Will It Blend channel. Does it Cobra? Will it Cobra? You can really hear that differential thrust activate too.
6 minutes.
It's not enough to make it uncontrollable, but it is a little weird feeling.
Engine normal. 15.2 volt. Full flaps.
Try a full flap landing. Whoa, look at that balloon. Holy crap. That was literally escalating under its own power. I didn't give it any input there. That was interesting. I'm glad I got out of the flaps. Try again. See if it'll start ballooning on us. Hands off right now. Okay, controlling again. Here comes the wind. Wind shear. I need to change my call out so when I pull the gear up it doesn't say thrust reverse. I forgot to do that. Okay, we're gonna land without flaps and we're gonna go a little further out.
Engine normal.
Give it an initial impression and then we'll come right back. A little bouncy, but you know, in this wind I'll take what I can get. And I'm not going to complain. Excellent ground handling though, it really slides around really well.
7 minutes.
So far I like it. It's built really well. I got 7 minutes of flight out of that and we still have plenty of power left if we wanted to fly it some more. Looking into it, I mean the hinges are all pretty good quality. For being foam hinges, they're actually really rock solid. Servos are loud. I wish they weren't. Like, just got to cut nice and close as I apply some force to it. They're digital servos, I'm pretty sure, so they're making that whining sound. The retracts are pretty good. I like it. This is not the review section. It's just kind of like going an overview of it after we've flown it. Probably should have done this before we flew it in case it wrecked, because then we wouldn't have anything to review, would we? Overall, there's a lot of space inside the battery compartment. One of the mods that I did was I took out that little quick connect system. That's there for these servos to connect to the receiver, which I also switched out to an AR637 TA. Not because there's anything wrong with the 631, I just wanted the full telemetry that I would get. Or not full telemetry, rather, the second, what do you call it? The second antenna, just for full coverage. I don't want to lose RF at any point. A lot of space in here for batteries. You could shove them further back. I think I'm flying it nose heavy because of how windy it is. I want it to be more directionally stable in this wind and not get jostled around as much. But so far, I like it. It's going to take some getting used to see what we can really do with it. But for right now, we'll switch back in a bit.
If you're looking to get into mains touchdowns with this model, this section of the Maiden is for you. For the rest of you, we know it's going to be a little boring, but this kind of practice is what leads to being a better pilot and what leads to truly understanding how a model performs. Landing after landing will teach you the characteristics of the model and lets you begin to fly it to its full potential. It's totally worth doing, and you really should invest more time into your landings.
Slope just right to where it doesn't bounce is the challenging part.
Woo, that was a nice wing rock over that stinger. You're using 17 feet wide of runway. Tail dragger.
There we go, look at that.
Yeah, that's nice. No bounce, just the wheels chirping to the ground like they're supposed to. Full scale landing. Nice. I think you figured it out.
In there. Good that it's very forgiving.
This touch and go session went on for another 4 minutes. Suffice to say, we think you get the point.
Best landing yet.
That was beautiful.
The build quality of this thing is outstanding. It's probably one of the better looking E-flite models I think I've seen in recent memory. In terms of like overall visual fidelity, I mean, look at this thing. It's beautiful. Now again, I have to remind you guys, unlike the FMS models that have been sent to me recently, this I had to pay completely out of pocket for. I got a discount for working with Hangar 18 Hobbies, but it wasn't much, just enough to make it a little less painful. And none of this is bought and paid for. I like the way this thing flies, especially now that I've got the 2200 shoved a little bit further forward, and I spent that time to get better at flying tail draggers because there is a science to them, and they are not as forgiving as a tricycle gear plane. You really got to do a lot of stick and rudder work with these planes, and if you don't have that stick and rudder skill, you're going to find that, well, it fishtails all over the place, and it's kind of hard to control. The more you spend working through that and understanding how they're going to fly, the better off you're going to be. As you may have seen in Tail Heavy Productions' latest video about flying planes with tail wheels, you need to actually keep the nose planted into the ground. And a good way to check that too is to see what your prop clearance is going to be. You can do that on the ground, as they mentioned. You can see we have some pretty forgiving prop clearance here. Look at this. You have to be like this much forward for it to be any kind of problem. So while you're spinning, watch this.
Throttle open.
See? Nothing to worry about. So don't be afraid of pushing the nose down while you're flying the plane, because you're going to have to do that to keep the wheels planted. If you don't do that, the thing's just going to be out of control, or it's going to bounce. Especially like you notice, like some of these landings, I wasn't keeping it planted and it just kept bouncing off the end of the air. So don't be afraid of forward pressure. It does sound kind of counterintuitive, especially with the prop discs and the clearance that it has. But trust me, unless you really push it, you're not going to throw it into the ground. Appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll see you again next time. Cheers.